Hello, my quilty friends. It's Stacy of Stacy Creates Stuff, bringing you our first block of the Stars in My Garden Sew Along. I want to welcome you to my Sew Along series, my Quilt-along of Stars in My Garden, a bright, colorful, vibrant quilt to help chase away the doldrums of winter. The guide for this quilt is available for free off of my website. There is a link in the description below. And you can also join my Stars in the Garden email list, which will send out a reminder each week that the new episode is available here on YouTube and that written instructions are available for the block of that week over on my blog. We are going to start out nice and easy with a Sawtooth Star block. This is our basic star block for this quilt, and we only have to make one. However, from here on out, we will be making anywhere from 4 to 8 blocks each week. They will all be the same block, all in the same fabric. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's go ahead and learn how to make that Sawtooth Star. Our first week is easy because block 1, we only have to make one. So I'm pulling my baggie of pieces from the bin, and we're going to go ahead and pull these out. It makes it so much easier to have everything already cut and sorted to be able to put your block together. So this is going to be the basic star. The 4.5-inch square will go in the center. Then we'll have a rectangle on each side of that square. The blue squares go in the corners. And you can see at this point that the square is, or the block is basically a 9 patch. There are 3 pieces here, here, and here. They'll get sewn together in rows. But in order to make it a star, we need some star points, and that is going to be formed with flying geese, which we will be using these pink squares, the medium pink, to sew onto the rectangles. And the way that works is we will place a square on one side of the rectangle, sew right on the diagonal, and of course we can draw that diagonal. And then once that is sewn, this will peel back, and we will do the same to the other side. Draw and then sew on that diagonal. That's from corner to corner. And when that comes back, that will form our flying geese. And we will do that for each of the rectangles. And then we'll be ready to sew our block together. So let's go ahead and mark for our diagonals. I'm using the sandpaper board to hold down my square. I have a single square here on the board. And I'm just going to take a ruler, lay it from corner to corner. Of course, you can use a much smaller ruler. This one was handy. And I'm going to draw my line right on the diagonal. Now, it might be a little hard to see on camera, but I'll be able to see it clearly at my sewing machine. And I'm going to go ahead and mark all of my squares and get sewing. All right, here we are with the first square sewn in. I have sewn on this diagonal and pressed that back. So I get the first triangle of my flying geese. And of course, once you do that, then you can cut off the excess. Now, these can become half square triangles for a different project. And if you want to save yourself a little time and energy, I do save a bunch of these just like this in order to use as leaders and enders. So the little thing to sew to get me going before I start sewing something else so that my thread doesn't pull through and do weird things to the back of my work. But you can also go ahead and sew an extra line, essentially sewing this seam here that allows this little half square triangle to form. So this line here is on the actual diagonal. It's not like a half square triangle, which we'll be doing in the future blocks. Again, right on the diagonal. And then this one is just in that space where this extra bit is coming. So I've sewn a line, and now I will be able to cut these apart. Honestly, I usually cut them with scissors because it's just as easy. And I left more than 1/4 of an inch, but not a 1/2 inch. I'm going to try to get as much real estate out of this half square triangle as possible. So this does not have to be 1/4 of an inch because we've already sewn that seam down. So those are all of my, well, there's one more. It's still on the machine. And these I just toss into a bin, save them for later. I might press it, I might not. And then if I haven't sewn it, I can save these for that leader ender thing. Now the next step will be to, again, having marked all of my squares, I will place that on there and then sew on this diagonal. And then the same process, I will press that back, trim off the excess, or sew an extra little seam there so that I already have it ready for a half square triangle. These will not be used in this quilt, but perhaps I can come up with a leftover bits project. We shall see. Anyhow, I'm going to go ahead and finish out these 4 flying geese, and then we will put them back into our block. All right, and now that I have my finished flying geese, I can go ahead and place those right on my design board and start sewing this block together. So 1 row, 2nd row, 3rd row, and then we'll sew all the rows together to form the block. And here we have our finished block. It is the center block. There is only one. This will be the only week where there is 1 block to complete. From here on out, you might have 4, you might have 8, but never more than 8 blocks. And they will all be the same block for that particular week. I'm going to go ahead and put this on my design wall right in the center, and I'll be back next week to show you block number 2. I hope you enjoyed this week's block, the Sawtooth Star, and I am looking forward to, well, 11 more blocks. But we're going to take that 1 week at a time. I would love to know how long you've been quilting. So comment below how many years or months or days you have been a quilter. Thank you so much for joining me today. And if you are enjoying this series, please like and subscribe to my channel. It's free to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and it really does help me to reach more people like you who love to quilt. I'll be back next week with block number 2. And in the meantime, you can check out this video.